Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Fiends podcast where we discuss everything fantasy. I am your co-host, Stevie Collier, and I am here with my other co-host, Andy Peliquin. And today is a very special day. The day we've all been waiting for since, I would say, around March. And it wasn't until 3 weeks ago until Andy said, pardon my French, stop being a little bitch and publish your damn book. So I did, and today is the day where I am seeing
It's
the
called
fruits
your
of all my
book
labor.
birthday, Stevie.
Is that what it's called?
Book birthday.
The book birthday. I like it's I've never been this stressed on a birthday before though.
You're not really getting the presents. You're giving it out to everybody. And I will say I'm 8 chapters into the book, and it's been great so far. So anybody who's listening, you have the giant's seal of approval on this book thus far. He may totally screw up the end and disappoint me, but at least the first 8 chapters are good.
I will say that the one I was most afraid to read it. I mean, I had my girlfriend, my mom, my dad, my brother. You were the most I was afraid of. Like, if we had Brandon Sanderson, he was reading, I'd be like, I wouldn't really care. But I've we've been working together. You haven't read a single piece of prose by me. I mean, this is the first one. And I remember the day I sat down to write the 4 territories. I was like, I would write a book. I had a dream last night. I talked it over with my friends. They gave me some world building advice, like what they thought would make a cool world. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going for it. I sat down, started writing, and here I am today after like 4 drafts because it was garbage. But the story was there. Yeah, it's been super fun and super addictive. And now I can, I've already finished my second novel. I think the first one's always going to be your hardest. You know, it took me 2 years from writing it to finishing it.
Yeah, basically, once you have the story out there, you realize, okay, this sucked or it didn't suck. I'm good at this, I'm bad at this. And you stop building it up in your head. You stop worrying about what if. Now you know for real, It turns out that in my first book, describing everything, and my fight scenes were very technical and very, overly described. So in the second book, Lament of the Fallen, I correct. And so that's what you've got ahead of you now, is realizing, hey, I'm awesome at this and I suck at this. So let's one. And
I have to say that I got some feedback that my fights may have been like that a little bit. I'm not going to talk bad about my book in this podcast, not during release, but they did say, but I like those kind of books, and that's why I love Blade of the Destroyer, because there was really good description in the battle scenes, and we were both in martial arts, and we both liked that kind of stuff, but I could see how too much would be too much, but I think it was perfect amount in Blade of the Destroyer. It just kept me wanting more, and I feel like I mimicked you in my fight scenes because I hadn't finished writing when we met. So I'll talk a little bit about the 4 territories. I haven't done this thus far into the pod, into what, 23 episodes now? So the 4 territories, the name is based off the world. It is a single continent of 4 territories. We have the Purple Territory, which is the Deadlands. So everybody is dead there. They have no soul. There is the Red Territory, which is called the Territory of Rhea, and it is under the hot molten sun. It's super hot. The males and females are all much larger. They're also very aggressive, and they want to take over the other 3 territories. The Green Territories is much like, I would say, when I think Middle Earth, like hobbits, but they're all elves. It's the elvish people are in the Green Territory, and that's Vivrion. And then the Blue Territory is the Baloranians, and they are mermaids and mermen. They're mer-humanoids. I call them mer-humanoids. There is no land over there. It's just a body of water, which will be explained more in the 5th territory, which is the book coming in early 2018.
Ooh.
Yes, it'll all be explained in that one. So not going to give away any spoilers, but that is where so going on from that, now you know the world. The story revolves around a boy. He is a hybrid between the Green Territory and the Red Territory. And it just so happens the Red Territory hates the Green Territory the most. And therefore, he is born and abandoned in the Red Territory at an orphanage. And it soon, he's hated by everyone, but he's also growing larger than most of them. He has a very big dad, and the Elvish are known to be very tall. So at one point, while he's a child, he's mortally wounded by another orphan. And he's
in a very, very vivid scene that, like, you guys, if any of you think my writing is too dark, you do not want to read this book, because I was like, holy shit, chapter 1, gruesome.
Is it really? Is it really? I thought yours was darker. It's a compliment coming from you.
Well, maybe some of mine are, but that was like, I was in chapter 1 and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, I keep forgetting how rough chapter 1 is. Maybe that's why my mom never got past chapter 1.
That could explain it.
So actually, one of my reviews says I shouldn't include the word pus in the books and made him sick. But pus is a very important part of the recovery process. If if you move around and your scab is tight and it crinkles, pus is going to come out. And there you go. I've ruined my book launch by bringing up pus on my my podcast launch episode. Anyway, he's found on the side of the street by this old man whose profession is picking up trash. And it turns out this old man has a link to this little boy that we don't understand quite yet. And in order for this boy to survive, the old man knows he must train the boy. And it turns out the old man is a retired assassin. Yes, and that's really all I can give about the book. Besides that, a dark parasite flings itself out of the earth and puts itself into the body of Esh. But will Esh be able to combat it and survive? God, like doing blurbs audibly, like off the top of your head, is super difficult. Like I thought writing blurbs was hard.
That's why I always prepare mine ahead of time. Like I've got the blurbs, written out, so then I just kind of read them.
Oh, I guess I could have read it, huh? It's so much better, but at least now they have from the horse's mouth, really.
Yeah.
So for the next 8 minutes, we are going to be talking about acceptance, because Esh is not only is he not accepted, he's hated. And the hybrids in the territory of Rhea are called the Loathed. Yes, they're the undesirables, the Loathed. And it's not uncommon to find them dead on the ground. So in the passing, when you're passing the street, you might see one of these Loathed, and you just kick them aside and let the dead carriers take them away. So, which I actually really like about the book, because there's this huge volcano in the Red Territory, and it shoots off every now and then this magma rain. Well, they call it the molten rain. And if you're left outside and you don't get under your metal hut in time, you fry instantly as soon as it touches you. And so they have these dead carriers that come and pick up the bodies after every molten rain. So, yeah.
That's pretty cool. But then how does his desire for acceptance, like what does it lead him to do beyond, sort of the psychological impact? What does he end up doing as a way to be accepted by people?
Oh, you've read that far. I forgot. So in order to be accepted, Esh figures out that he goes to these parades and he sees these soldiers of Rhea that have been going out fighting the Green Territory, that they're loved, they're appreciated, they're respected. So Esh is like, I'm going to become a soldier. I'm already taller than all the other boys. I'm just going to work out. So at a young age, he's figured out that, hey, if I do push-ups, I can get stronger. He starts picking up boulders in the courtyard. They're highly unsupervised, so he's just like doing all this crazy stuff. He starts doing pull-ups. He starts running, and he gets stronger and stronger. And every young boy and girl on their 14th birthday, I call it natal cycle, they are given a profession. And I got this because I love the book The Giver. And in The Giver, yes, a profession is given to each of them. And I guess you'll have to find out what profession Esh is given. Is he given the role of the soldier that he wanted, or is he not? Either way, he totally deserves it because he does become a very powerful young man because he works hard physically and mentally to get where he's at the age of 14. So that is his way of getting accepted, of trying to gain acceptance rather than really just trying to be himself.
Yeah. All right. Now let's pivot just a little bit. Stevie, what have you done? What sort of embarrassing or like things that you look back and you say, oh my God, I can't believe I did that, sort of as out of a desire to fit in?
I dyed my hair blonde one time. It was horrible.
Were you in California?
Yes, I was. I was surfing all the time, and seriously, I don't know what it is about surfers, but they all had blonde hair. I'm like, what the heck? I should have blonde hair. And when I did it, it didn't get done, I guess, correctly because my hair dried out super bad and just went just like a fro. I got so many compliments on that hair, though. Like, you would not believe. It was insane. People love that blonde fro. But yeah, I did that to try and be accepted. You know, I would deny that I watched anime. That's another one I don't do anymore. It's just like, fuck you. If you don't like anime, I don't care. I love it. I'm a weeaboo. No, I wouldn't call myself a weeaboo. I don't have one of those anime pillows. I mean, would I not accept one as a gift? I don't know. Andy, Christmas is coming up.
Would you kick it out of bed?
Oh man, our episodes together are so much different.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you know, I mean, I can think back on, you know, the things that I did during my teenage years, and I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. You know, some of the things that I've said, it just like making a fool out of myself, and like so embarrassing. And it was just in a desire to fit in. And after we decided on this as the topic, I did a little bit of research that I know that the desire for acceptance is really just based on the fear of rejection, which is really one of the 5 primal fears, is the fear of being alone. You know, when you're the weak animal in the herd, you straggle, you are alone, you're vulnerable to the predators. So it's an evolutionary impulse is you need to be part of something, part of the tribe or part of the herd.
Yeah.
In order to stay alive. But then it goes beyond that. There was a study by a couple of psychologists at the Ohio State University, and they found that people who feel isolated and lonely and excluded tend to have poor physical health. They don't sleep well, their immune systems suffer, and they even die sooner than people who are surrounded by others who care about them. And isolation is definitely one of the main contributing factors to depression. And having a social life is one of the best ways to fight. This whole thing of acceptance it's ingrained in us, you know, whether it's evolutionary instinct or the psychological instinct or physical or whatever it is, we have this desire to be accepted. And I know sometimes we do some pretty crazy things.
I think I cover whether it is natural or taught in the book, because you can say it's natural because Esh is not giving hardly any appreciation growing up, but there is a single character in the book that does love him and does give him affection, and maybe that is why he realizes, hey, if she can accept me, why can't all these other people? And she sort of becomes his mom, which he calls her his fake mother. Because he lives in an orphanage, he knows she's not his mother, and that she has to care for these other boys and girls who are mean to him. And it's hard to understand that. Why I wrote this character, I'm not sure. I never felt any of this stuff growing up. I actually had a lot of friends growing up. But one thing I will tell you, and this is the honest to God truth, I never bullied a single person. Did I have the power to? Yeah, I could have done it. I could have. I was always bigger than the other kids. Not like tall, but I was always stronger. My dad was a bodybuilder, so I grew up like, you know, with proper nutrition, very athletic. I could have easily have picked on these kids, and honestly, I don't know why I never did. It's not like my parents told me don't bully people, but I always felt sorry for them, and I always watched out for them. So I always was very aware of when people were getting bullied. And I never saw it a whole lot around me until I went to public high school in California. And you just can't pick, you just can't get into those fights because they're like the true, that's like the real deal. They're like, pull out a shank, you know, yeah. California high schools. So, but yeah, I think maybe that's what it came from. I'm a big person against. I'm a big advocate against bullying, because it can really screw up your mind, you know. So maybe that is why I created Esh, and I think I did a pretty good job of how bad bullying can get, because there's some sick kids out there. Oh, I don't want to give away too much. Read chapter 1.
Yeah, exactly.
So I hope I explained that well enough.
Yeah, no, it was well explained. I mean, I got it.
Yeah, this podcast is brought to you by the Anti-Bullying Foundation.
Exactly.
Yeah. So should we get on to the reading?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got it here on my trusty iPad instead of, I usually have it somewhere else.
Yeah, it's usually on the computer, right?
So when I have the horror backlighting, you know why.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Wait, I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay. Oh, wow, that's awesome. If you're not viewing this, go to YouTube right now. Yeah, I feel sorry for your kids. You could go into the room.
I try not to make that face around them.
So they'll take you seriously. They won't bully you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, you learned from how to stop bullying. Just do what that bully did to Esh in chapter 1. That'll solve it.
Yeah, don't do that. When you read the book, don't do what the bully does to Ash. That's just not. It's not good.
It's called homicide. Okay, so a little backstory to what we're about to read here. Esh, through a series of events, is taken as an apprentice to the Elder, and they find this bully that did something very awful to Esh, and they have tied him to a metal tree in what I call the metallic plains. And it's this metal tree to keep itself hidden from the sun. Quick story. My brother is a biologist, and he helped me create these creatures in the book. So every creature you see was helped and designed by a biologist who's becoming a paleontologist. He's way smarter than me.
Wow.
And yeah, and one of the reviews, like I think 3 of the reviews, the creatures were brought up, and I'm so excited to go home and tell him, because I'm actually hanging out with him tonight. And a lot of the reviews are saying, I love the creatures. And
I loved the Mactus, the metallic cactus. That brought such a giddy little smile.
The Mactus.
Yeah.
That's so sprinkled all throughout the book too. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
The Mactus.
What are the non-compliant metallic animals?
So what they are is, if I ever want to create an animal, I'll create the meaty flesh part in my brain, but each and every one of them in the territory of Rhea will have a metal back, and that is to not only protect them from the sun, but magma rains. So when molten rains. When there's a molten rain, if the animal's lucky enough and can crouch down and hide, that magma will hit that metal on his back and slide off, and he can scurry away and still have a better chance of survival. You'll also notice the bugs have this metal as well. And it wasn't my idea, it was my brother's. He made it way more difficult because he's got to have everything perfect. But I had to dumb it down so it would be more enjoyable. I didn't have to do Wikipedia specifications on each animal, which could turn out to be a reader magnet. Like I could give away the stats of each creature that I've created. And he's a digital artist too, so he's done some really cool paintings of creatures you're going to see later on in the book. I'll post those on Facebook too. He's very talented in my opinion.
Awesome.
So what's about to happen is you're about to see the black energy that lives underground. So I'll do narrator, Andy.
Okay.
And I'll also do the Elder.
You do?
And you can do, yes. Okay. I'll do the Elder and narration. You do Esh and Mech.
Perfect. Now, okay. Mech, what kind of a guy is he?
He is. Have you seen it yet?
No.
Okay. Think of I would say more hillbilly. It's how I pictured him. Very hillbilly, very ignorant. He's fat. He's the kind of kid I can't give anything away from it. very crude. And like, remember last episode with Joshua Robertson where we had to do the weasel?
Yeah.
He's kind of like that.
Okay, is there like an accent, like a hillbilly accent? I knew it. You're not only a piece of hot shit, but a coward as well.
That's perfect. Yeah, do that. I mean, if there was a hillbilly in Rhea, this would be it. Yes.
All right.
So, okay. Chapter 8, The Wisps. And the wisp is the dark energy. He couldn't do it. The tip of the blade grazed Mech, but nothing more. He dropped the blade into the ash and stepped back.
No, I won't. I can't. I'm not like you.
Esh said, tears running down his face. The elder blew out a puff of air and picked up the dagger, placing it back in its hiding spot. Mech began to laugh, despite the pain he must have had from the scratch Esh gave him. He laughed so hard that it began to hurt Esh's ears. The young male was beside himself with pure ecstasy.
I knew it. You're not only a piece of hot shit, but a coward as well. You don't know how happy I was when you got chosen to pick up the garbage. How fitting for a piece of garbage to pick up a piece of garbage.
This was followed by more laughs, laughs that sounded like screams. Esh sat down, and the elder knelt beside him and placed a hand on his shoulder. I was right about you, he said. You've passed, Esh. It was the first time the elder had called him by his name in all the time they had been together. Esh was just about to ask him what he meant by that when the elder jerked him up in one abrupt movement, his face a sudden seriousness. He brought Esh close to his body, but not in a hug, but more of how a father would hold a child when danger was near. Oh no, 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 the elder whispered to himself, looking up at the sky and down at the ground. Not now.
What? What is it?
Esh asked, following his mentor's gaze. The elder dove for Mech and began cutting away at his bindings. Run, Esh, run! Esh didn't run. He just stood there blind and confused as to what was happening. The ground abruptly started to shake, sending vibrations all the way up Esh's spine, but he stood his ground. He wanted to run, but something deep inside him wouldn't let him leave his mentor. The elder released Mech, who fell flat on his chest, still in a fit of hysterical laughter. He tried to pull the male up, but to no avail. Mech wasn't going anywhere with them, especially not without a fight. Shit, no time, cried the elder. He pulled the dagger back out of his robes, and with one swift movement, he cut the throat of Mech. Blood gushed. Yeah, right. Blood gushed out almost immediately, and the dying child gave a questioning look at the life pouring out of his throat.
What did you do that for?
Esh screamed, his knees trembling more from the sight of blood than the quaking ground beneath his feet. The elder turned to him and grabbed his arm. Go! Before Esh could protest, the elder wrenched him off his feet and was carrying him underneath one arm. The ground grew more and more turbulent and cracks began to appear. The elder was forced to jump over several of the larger craters just in time before they had become too wide. Esh made the mistake of looking down one and could see nothing but darkness. The elder probably carried him a good 200 feet before stopping and dropping him. Look, he commanded, grabbing Esh's head and turning it towards the dying Mech, now twitching on his side. So much blood. What came next would change Esh's life forever. A black shape emerged from the ground in the shape of a gigantic mouth. With a gooey-like texture, the mouth formed long, spiked teeth that slowly enclosed themselves around Mech. The mouth closed, but Esh could still hear Mech's muffled screams. How was he still alive? The black mouth chewed its prey twice, silencing the young male's screams and sending a red spray from the side of its lips. It raised itself from the ground just enough that Esh could see its red eye, the same eye from his dreams of the land of sin, a dream come true. The demon descended back into hell. There was silence for a few moments. The elder put a hand on Esh's chest and said, Calm your breathing. You are the master of your body.
What was that? That thing? Did that really just happen?
Esh asked in a panic, trying to stand up. The elder wouldn't let him. You first need to relax, lad. You won't be able to comprehend anything at your current state. A panicked mind creates a blind eye.
Calm. Did you not just see that demon? It just swallowed him whole.
The elder stared at him. You've seen them before, haven't you? Esh didn't say anything. He turned away from his mentor.
That you're next.
Oh, that's me? Oh, sorry. Of course.
Stevie, this is your book. You're supposed to know these things.
I'm so stressed out right now. Of course. Why didn't I see it before? You're a half-breed. That must be why. I'm guessing they sought after you in the dream world too, huh, lad? Esh began to calm down, and the elder sat in front of him, his hands on Esh's shoulder. They visited you, haven't they?
It was just a dream.
It wasn't just a dream, the elder yelled, shaking him. They visit half-breeds in their sleep. They try to lure you.
Lure me? What are you talking about?
The elder was quiet. His mouth opened and shut multiple times as if trying to find the words to say. And finally, we should go home. I'll explain to you everything there. Everything.
You have a...
Something grabbed his ankle and ripped him out of his seated position and started to drag him away from the elder. Ash kicked up into his face as the unknown force accelerated faster and faster. Ash struggled to look down and saw a black hand sticking out of the ground and gripping his leg, its sharp fingertips digging into his skin. He could hear the elder running after him, calling out his name, but Ash figured he would be long dead before the elder was able to catch up. He was on his own, and he had to think fast. He leaned up, his buttocks now taking most of the damage. Balancing against the high speed, he bent down to wrench the grip open, but it was no good. His hands disappeared into the black mass and was only able to feel his taut ankle. The hand released him, and he found himself lying on his back with the ground rumbling beneath him. The elder's cries were barely audible, and Esh knew this was the end for him. He tried to lean up and get to his feet, but the turbulence had started back up and made it too hard to stand. The ground opened up to his left and right, and with a quick thinking, he tried to jump as far as he could, but something reached out and caught him by the abdomen. He gasped, seeing that he was now being gripped by the same hand, but it was now much larger, as if a giant lived underground and had just shoved his entire hand through the surface. The black, gooey hand did not squeeze tight this time, but just enough to let Esh know there was no escaping. Black strings formed and slapped against his face. Esh tightened his mouth as hard as he could, but it was a futile attempt. The black strings hit the corners of his lips and forced themselves inside. He gagged as they flew to his throat and down into his stomach. And then there was nothing. Esh hit the ground just as fast as the black hand had disappeared. He sat up and brought his knees to his chest. He reached for his ankle but felt no pain. In fact, he felt rather well. He stood up and found that his fatigue had left him, and so had his fear. His stomach felt full, like he had just had eaten a very hefty meal. It was a long time before the elder finally caught up to him, clutching his knees and trying to catch his breath. What was all that about? How did you...
I didn't do anything.
Esh replied.
It just kind of let go of me.
He thought it best to keep the matter of him consuming demonic goo to himself. The elder gave him a wild look. The wisps don't just let go of their prey, lad. You must have done something.
I'm telling you, I did absolutely nothing. I tried to get it off me, but my hands just went right through it.
The elder stared deep into his eyes as if he could smell the lie. He then closed his eyes and let out a big puff of air. Let's get out of here, lad. You got lucky once. Don't bet on getting lucky twice.
Dun, dun, dun.
And that is the end of chapter 8 of the Four Territories.
That was gruesome, man. I was trying to remember like what sci-fi show it is where it's like the black fluid, like, force feeds itself into the guy's mouth.
Oh, that's exactly how I picture it. What is that? What is that show?
I can't remember. I don't know. It might have been Smallville or something. I know there's a black sort of metallic substance in Smallville, but I don't remember if he does that.
There's a horror movie where this happens. When I was very little, it like traumatized me when I saw it, and that's where I got the idea. And so I had to have this black goo, like Venom, the anti-villain, or the villain, goo.
Yeah.
I love the villain so much the villain of this black mindless goo that I'm trying to like write other books with it, but I have to keep pulling myself back. I'm like, you can't do this twice. It's done. Let it go. Find something else that's demonic and horrifying. I forgot how dark this story was, to be honest with you.
It's dark, but you know, it's nice, a nice change from all the epic fantasy I've been reading.
Good. So you enjoyed chapter 8?
I did. I'm happy that he killed Mech. It seems a very fitting end.
Yeah. It's surprising that the elder is the one to do it, and with so little remorse to it, you know.
Yeah.
And the reason why, this isn't a spoiler, if you're eaten by a wisp, you are in eternal damnation. So you will be tortured for the rest of your life. But if we look into this part, Mech is still alive when he is eaten, so he will face eternal damnation. Yes, I know. That's what he gets.
There are characters like that where you just feel like you got what you deserve and you feel no remorse for the character.
Yeah. I want to talk about Game of Thrones, but I don't want to give anything away to anybody. You know, I always think about that. So that's basically it for this podcast. It was just me plugging my book the entire time, but it's something I'm very proud of, very happy with, and can't wait to write the 5th territory. There's a lot of things I want to change and such.
It's been awesome so far. Everybody who's listening, go check it out on Amazon. Read the look inside, give it the old Amazon look inside test, and you will, if you like dark fantasy, you'll love it. That is the giant guarantee.
And I want to thank everyone on YouTube who's been watching. I really appreciate your support. I'm sorry I haven't been commenting. Today I'm very nervous, and I wanted to give my full attention to this podcast. This is my book birthday, right, Andy? My book birthday.
That's right.
So, and it has been a ride, and I can't believe my second novel's already done. Once the first novel's out of the way, it just kind of starts pouring out, and you just can't stop it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's sad is the only thing holding me back is money. It takes money to produce these books, you know, and I feel like I'm writing too fast to keep up monetarily. So
that is a good problem to have.
Yeah, right. You just have like this huge backlist. You're just like shoving it through this money machine, and it turns into a book. It goes, book.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, my next book, if you're interested in beta reading, it is a lit RPG, which stands for Literature Role-Playing Game. It is based off games like World of Warcraft, Guild Wars 2, EverQuest 2, all that good shiz. It's thug, it's lit. Join me on my journey. Andy, I had to get those words in, man.
You can say lit because it's a lit RPG, but you're not allowed to say thug, Stevie.
You're right.
That's strike 2.
Strike 3, and I'm off the podcast.
Yeah.
Or
you have to sit there silently for an entire podcast. You're not allowed to say anything. I know, exactly.
Good luck. There's no way.
As the administrator of this podcast, I have the mute button. So you'll just be like talking, can you see me? Can you see me? Can you hear me? And it'll just be quiet. Yeah. That would be your punishment.
And who is CL Can? What is the first name? They have like
Courtney.
Okay. Because we have another person who does the initials at the beginning, and I'm just like, I feel so bad because I'm not getting to know their names, you know. Courtney Cannon. Thank you so much, Courtney. I'm glad you enjoyed the chapter 8. I think you'll really enjoy the rest. I do feel like I do need to say this. I had an editor issue, a very bad one. I got screwed very badly. It's not my fault. I did pay a lot of money. So that's going to be fixed. And yeah, little advice. It's not bad. You'll probably just skim right over it. But for perfectionists like Andy and I, it's too much. It breaks our hearts.
Yep.
So it kills me. But all right, Andy, can I just go ahead and finish it up from here?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for everyone out there who is watching or listening. I really appreciate your support. If you love dark fantasy with side of epic and sword and sorcery, you will love the 4 territories. Really appreciate it. Thank you for watching this episode, watching or listening to this episode. Please hit that subscribe button and like. It really helps us out tremendously. I hope you have a great weekend. I am going to finish biting off the rest of my fingernails. because I am nervous for this first launch of mine. Andy, I bet you went through the same thing, huh?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah. All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day. This has been another fantasy-filled Fantasy Fiends podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.